This is how government works. They take a lot of money from you and from me, and they take it with their left hand. Then, behind their backs, they transfer it to the right. Now, notice that a lot of that money is lost during that transfer. It goes to bureaucratic salaries, paying for the institution of government, being spent who knows where, until it finally reaches that right hand, so that there's so much less than what government started with. And then, in a supreme act of generosity, government, Justin Trudeau here in particular, decides to take some of that money, which is now in their right hand, and gives it back to all of us. Wow. Wow. So generous. In this case, of course, we're talking about the carbon rebate. Here is the tone deaf Trudeau making an announcement.
Check your bank account. If you live in one of these provinces and you file your taxes, you receive the Canada Carbon Rebate today. That's money from the price on pollution that gets deposited automatically in your bank account 4 times a year.
Okay, so apparently we can have our cake and eat it too. That's what Trudeau is telling us. The Canada Carbon Rebate is a flat rebate. Everyone, regarding jurisdictions or considering their geographical location, gets the same amount. So if you spend more on carbon in a quarter or in a year, then of course you pay more money. Let's suppose that I spend $1,200 on carbon in a single year, and my Canada Carbon Rebate is $1,000. That means when all is said and done, I paid $200 in carbon pricing. But for a man who, say, only spends $500 in carbon over the year, and his rebate is also $1,000 because it's flat, he actually earns $500. Therefore, Trudeau's plan is supposed to be an incentive against using carbon. But it's nonsense, right? Of course it's nonsense. First of all, there's no such thing as having your cake and eating it too. It's not as though government can at first take money from us and then at the same time make us richer. That doesn't make any sense at all. How? How is that possible? How is it possible that government can take money from us and then, after moving it and manipulating it through various channels, can give back to us more than what we gave them? It's a magic trick. Wow. Which is so typical of government. They're bad magicians, but they think themselves magicians nonetheless. Secondly, Trudeau, of course, fails to realize, apparently, that this carbon rebate, far from incentivizing us to use less carbon, actually incentivizes us to keep using carbon. If I stop using carbon altogether, let's say I completely halted my use of carbon. I'm not heating my home. I'm not using my car, my vehicle, or my truck. I'm not using natural gas to heat my water, whatever it might be. My quality of life descends to basically zero. Basically zero, especially on the hottest of summer days and in the coldest of winter months. I'm freezing to death because there's no heat. And in the summer, I'm burning up because there's no air conditioning. So my quality of life is brutal in that instance. My quality of life is low. But thank heavens, I have $1,000 rebate. And because I'm not using carbon, I actually made that $1,000. Wow, amazing, unbelievable. But what if I use carbon? What if I don't cut my carbon consumption? What if I use, I don't know, $1,500 of carbon each and every year? My rebate is still $1,000, which means that when all is said and done, I pay $500 in carbon pricing. But this time, I'm heating my home, I'm driving my vehicle wherever I want, I'm heating my water, I'm running my fridge, I'm running my air conditioning in the hot summer months, and so on and so on and so on. What we mean to say is that my quality of life, as a consequence of using carbon, increases to such a substantial degree that the $500 cost is almost nothing compared to the cost imposed upon me if I stop using carbon altogether. My quality of life is far higher if I spend $500 to use carbon after the rebate and so on than it is if I spend nothing and earn $1,000 by not using carbon at all. So far from incentivizing us to stop using carbon, actually, all this does is encourage us to keep using carbon. And of course, this assumes the numbers are correct. The numbers the government provides us are correct, which, dubious, but nevertheless.
And unless you pollute an awful lot every day, chances are you just received more money than you pay out with the price on pollution.
Justin Trudeau pollutes an awful lot every day, not only with his language, but also with his emissions, flying all over the world, taking executive and lavish vacations, enjoying the finest foods, going here, there, and everywhere else on Canadian taxpayers' dime. So if we really want to talk about who exactly is emitting the most pollution into the atmosphere, all we have to do is look right here. There it is.
So check your bank account or watch the mailbox for the coming days.
This is, again, it's so tone deaf because it's like Canadians are struggling. They are seriously struggling. We think about taxes, how high taxes are. We think about inflation, how high inflation is. We think about interest rates, how high interest rates are, and so on and so on and so on. And yet Trudeau here, with his smug smile, is telling us to be grateful and be excited because a little bit of money is coming back into your account. Oh my. Yeah, after being taxed at ridiculous rates, after being taxed at absurd rates, and getting just about nothing in return, certainly nothing of quality in return, we're supposed to be grateful that this generous government decides to give us crumbs back. It's like, here, I'm going to take half of your loaf of bread that you've baked, that's what government does, and I'm going to, throughout the year sporadically, send you back a few crumbs, and you're going to be grateful that I'm doing so. So check your bank accounts. It's brutal. It's so bad. It is the face here of corruption. It's the face of elite. Like we talk about the elite all the time. Here it is. Here it is. Here you have Canadians struggling to make ends meet, but for Justin Trudeau, it doesn't matter. Instead, all of those issues should basically go away because of this wonderful carbon pricing program plan that the government's introduced to the country. And it's like, here's a better idea. Maybe we should just stop taxing Canadians at the rates that we are. Maybe government should just stop taking so much of our income and let us use the money as we think it ought to be used, instead of losing or sending so much of it away to bureaucracy to be wasted, and we know it's wasted. Maybe instead Canadians who are hardworking and who are trying their best to make ends meet should be allowed to keep more of that money, more of those incomes, so that they don't have to instead throughout the year receive these minuscule government handouts, these little government paybacks as a thank you for giving so much of your money to us. Except, of course, you don't have a choice in the matter. You have to do so. Wow, what a generous and marvelous bureaucracy.